Hey everybody, it's Ben with UpDoc Media, and I'm sure you've noticed that throughout all the social media channels out there, things are getting a little out of hand. In fact, the best word is probably clutter. Content clutter is a real point of frustration, especially if you're trying to get your content in front of new consumer eyes. According to certain studies, they've suggested that even Facebook only has about a 3 to 5% organic reach rate. That means that of all the people following you, say you have 1,000 followers, only 3 to 5% of them will naturally and organically see your stuff as they scroll through their feed. So what do you do? Despite the state of content clutter, there are some very good strategies you can implement to make sure your content reaches your ideal audience groups precisely. Think back to when it was just written and audio content. It was just stuff that you could see on yellow pages, on white pages, on radio. Back in the day, everyone was everywhere in terms of primary media channels. You were on TV commercials, you were on radio commercials, you were on billboards, you were at bus stops, you were in the white pages, you were in the newspaper, you were in magazines. Well, that's where we are now, except that instead of being in those traditional channels, we're now on digital marketplaces. So when everyone is everywhere, there are gonna be 5 primary factors to make sure that your content wins. Number 1, have excellent content. Not just good, not just great, not just okay. Excellent, excellent, excellent content. You want content that entertains, that engages, and that educates your audience so that they feel that this is specifically stuff that they want to see. And there's a secret sauce here: consistency. You have to be 100% consistent in your intention and in your efforts to make sure that your content is truly, truly excellent. Make sure that you put out valuable content, whether it's words of wisdom, action steps, or information that tells them you are the brand they need and can trust. It's only then when you can ask them to come on in. Number 2, get gamified. There's too much content out there that's just spitting information. It's just blah, here you are, and it doesn't really ask you to do anything with it. So as you are creating your excellent content, make sure that some of your posts are gamified. Ask them to share their favorite GIF related to this topic, or ask them to tag somebody, or ask them to leave a comment so that they might win something. Whatever the case might be, make sure that they require more actions across their screen to engage with whatever content you're putting out there. Number 3, ask a question. You'd be surprised how valuable this is when you ask your audience questions. It helps you segment out your audience, it helps you understand why they're browsing through your content, and more importantly, it gives you hints on what answers you can provide to questions they have yet to know they need to ask. And number 4, this leads us to delivering what your audience wants. Now that you know what they want, now you know what is engaging to them, now you can consistently deliver things that they actually want to see, to touch, to feel, to hear. And this is really important for professional level companies, projects, organization, services, especially if you have a licensure. Because if you went so far to get a license, there's a good chance that you are really well educated and you're probably a huge nerd about your specialty. I know I am. I love everything physical therapy. And that's a problem because if I share about those things, those aren't necessarily things that my prospective patients want to hear about. They don't necessarily care about the mechanics at the knee or about pain signs, but what they do care about is what they can do about their headache right now. So deliver what they want. Finally, be authentic. I can't stress this point enough that you need to come across your social channels as somebody who's accessible, somebody who can be vulnerable. In fact, there are 4 attributes that healthcare consumers have identified as the key components of them choosing their next provider. And these 4 attributes are communication, trustworthiness, location, and quote, congeniality. Now, what do they mean? Well, they mean that they need somebody that has a sense of humor, somebody who's real, not overly uptight. Now, while location is important, what's interesting is that 70% of the respondents to the study said that location matters, that they want somebody who's close. But the same people on a follow-up question, 68% of them said that they're willing to drive a little further for a better provider and a better care experience. When you roll that back and you see that trustworthiness and communication is central to this care experience, you can see the value statement you can deliver through social channels if your content is truly authentic. You can cultivate trust way before they even walk through your front door. It's probably good to share right now that not every piece of content needs to have a directly attributed ROI. It should be an overarching grand scheme content strategy that your marketing initiatives are implementing. By using these 5 strategies, you can most authentically be sorted through and rise above the content clutter. It makes you a brand and a personality that people have seen and people trust. And one more thing, Not every single piece of content needs to have a specifically addressed return on investment metric. Not everything has to have a line-by-line ROI. Remember that a content strategy should be part of an overarching marketing initiative. It is how you connect with the people you want to connect with. As long as you recenter on the principle of strong content marketing, that you're delivering the right message to the right audience at the right time for the right action, you will rise above the content clutter. Thanks again for joining us here at UpDoc Media. I'm Ben, and I will see you next time.